Hi guys, welcome to the Pet Quarter. In this video we are going to be talking about how much does it cost to feed raw food to our dogs. Now, in recent years, the proliferation of raw food and raw food manufacturers has opened up the floodgates to a new industry, and a lot of people are rushing in and not doing things properly, and they wonder how much things are going to cost, but they don't really have a clear pathway, some guidance on how things can be done better. So in this video I am going to be answering the question, how much does it cost? But I'm going to be talking about 4 different things that you must consider before switching to raw. So the first thing I want to talk about is the quality of the ingredients. Before jumping on the bandwagon, I want you to do some research on 2 or 3 brands, and I want you to go on a little rabbit hole, and I want you to seek out for yourself where the produce, where the food is coming from. Where are those ingredients sourced from? The quality of the ingredients in pet food matters a lot. Just like in human food, the quality of the things we put in our bodies and in our pets' bodies is really important. So I want you to first of all check 2 to 3 manufacturers and see where they source their products from. How is the raw food manufactured? How is it handled? Do they have any stamps of approval from any governing bodies? Are they regulated? Are they self-regulated? Do they pride themselves on their website to show that they are compliant and that they go the extra mile to show that their food is good quality? Whenever we source things for our shops and whenever we give customers a brand of food, a brand of dog food, we are sure and we are certain where those products come from, how the food is manufactured, where is it sourced from. Ingredient by ingredient, we know where everything comes from and what everything does. So spend a couple days researching 2 to 3 different brands, and do those brands have those things that I'm just speaking about? Are they self-regulated? Do you have enough information about the brand of food you're going to feed? As I said in the beginning, with the proliferation of raw food, there are, and we see this all the time, a lot of cowboys that are not regulated. They don't adhere to any rules or regulations, again, from anybody. They don't have any quality controls. They might not freeze the food for the specific period that it needs to be frozen for before consumption. We don't know where the ingredients come from. They are in many cases unlabeled, and the whole thing is horrible. Yet they are very successful because raw gets more popular. Bad actors and people cutting corners take advantage of people like yourself. So if something is too good to be true, it probably is. If you've seen something that's unlabeled or something that's way too cheap, it is cheap for a reason. Do they have any quality controls? Do they adhere to any rules or regulations? Are they self-regulated? Are the staff approachable? All these things are extremely important, especially when we talk about fresh ingredients, because something fresh going into your dog or cat will be extremely important. So that is my first recommendation. The second recommendation is, which camp are you going to be in? Are you a veg person or are you an 80-10-10 person? So the first thing is, some people believe in vegetables and they can be beneficial to our dog's diet. The question becomes, how much in veg should we be feeding our dogs? Anything between 10-15% is okay. However, as I said before, many manufacturers will put 50% vegetables in a raw food, diluting down the amount of meat they put in the food, still charging the amount that they would a regular raw food. If you are going to pursue a raw food with veg, nothing wrong with it. They can be beneficial, but make sure that manufacturer doesn't put more than 10 to 15%. A small amount of veg can be beneficial. Too much veg, you are literally paying for just veg. If you go to the supermarket, the difference in price between veg and meat is abysmal. It's the same in pet food. If you instead go for the 80-10-10, where 80% is lean meat, 10% is offal, of which 5% is liver, give or take, and 10% is bone, you will not be feeding any veg. And many people adhere to that as well. Not to say that one is better than the other, because we see all the time and we sell some that are pure 80-10-10 and some with veg, and both are wonderful, and dogs get equally as good results on both. As long as the quality of the ingredients is good, you are safe. So yes, are you going to be feeding a food with veg, or are you going to be feeding an 80-10-10 without veg? The third thing I want to talk about is, does it suit your lifestyle? Are you a very busy person and you are stretched as it is to walk the dog and function as it is right now? Raw food has a little bit more to it than feeding kibble or feeding a can of wet food. You have to buy a bit more often because you will probably be constrained by freezer size. You will be constrained by the mere fact that the food is frozen, so you cannot let it defrost between you buying it and the food getting home. Again, you will be constrained by freezer capacity, and then you will have to thaw it, you will have to store it properly, you will have to prepare it properly, and all these things that are not complicated. They are not by any means a big task, but they require a little bit of thought to get into. So if you have a very busy lifestyle, if you have kids, if you like to go to festivals, then more power to you. You can get incredible results with other foods that aren't raw, and the dog will be equally as happy. So does your lifestyle suit this? And this brings me on to the fourth point I want to make, and that is, do not get bullied by other people who already feed raw. For whatever reason, in the pet food industry, a lot of people will incur in this herd mentality and they just follow trends blindly. And because my friend feeds raw and my friend is a bit like a person who is a vegan or a yoga or does CrossFit, for example, and they are very cult motivated and they want to spread the word of how good their particular camp or their particular cult or their particular activity is. So don't get bullied into feeding something and into doing something you don't really want to do or that doesn't fit your lifestyle. Not to say that raw is bad or those people don't mean good. They do mean good, but does it suit you? Does it suit your lifestyle? Don't get bullied and don't get cornered into doing something you might not want to do. That would be my fourth recommendation. And then on to the price. For a regulated, good quality raw food, if you have a small dog, something like a sausage dog or a Pom or something like a Jack Russell or something like a small breed, Westie for example, you will be needing about £50, between £20 and £50 per month to feed your dog. And this will depend obviously on levels of activity, the dog's age, and many other factors. Some dogs will eat more than others and some dogs will require more or less food. But between £20 and £50 for a small breed dog. If you are dealing with something like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, you will be spending anywhere between £90 and £110 per month, ballpark. back. Again, it will depend on levels of activity, it will depend on how big the dog is, and for a massive breed, something like a Burble or like a big German Shepherd, Tibetan Mastiff, you are going to be talking about 150 to 180 pounds per month. Again, it will depend how much you exercise the dog and how much food does your dog need at that particular age. If your dog is a puppy, you will be feeding the dog between 4 and 6% of the dog's body weight, and if the dog is an adult, between 2 and 3% of the dog's body weight. And again, those are just guidelines. Some dogs, like some people, will require more food and some will not require as much food. But those are some factors that really do play into how much you will be feeding the dog. In any case, quality of ingredients matters a lot more than anything else, whether you are feeding a kibble or whether you are feeding a wet food. All raw food manufacturers that are worth any sort of metal, you will not find any of these fillers that are put in some of the worst kibbles. You will not find any wheat, any barley, any corn. You will see quality ingredients. You will see high quality meats and you will see high quality vegetables if you are going to go for one of the brands with vegetables. So along with some of the things we have spoken about today, the one thing I want you to take from this video is do your own research, make sure the food matches your lifestyle, that you do not get bullied, that you do it responsibly. And the one last thing I want to touch upon is the fact that many people will want to DIY their raw food straight away. You will see all these beautiful pictures on Instagram and all these posts on how people feed raw and they live these wonderful lives and their kids are beautiful and they never stress and they don't have any money problems, and you will see organic yogurt and a chicken breast and now some fruit and now this, and those big platters straight off the bat with a little bit of a bone and a duck wing and this, that and the other. They're not sustainable, they're not very realistic. It's hard for someone to do that for long periods of time. If you are going to switch to raw, what you have to consider is how sustainable is this in the long term. So we always recommend people to buy something that's already complete, to buy something that you only have to thaw and then give it to the dog. Don't start buying this and this and this and pull from all these different places and then thaw things individually and then prepare it, and then you end up with these, yes, beautiful platters, but is that really sustainable? My hunch is that's not really sustainable. That's just for social media. In the real world, we all have jobs, we are all busy, we are all trying to beat the 9 to 5, and the food needs to match our lifestyle. And as we tell a lot of people, maybe raw food is not good for you. Maybe this is not the right way to go on about things. So if that is the case, that's also good. As long as the food you are feeding, whether that's kibble or wet food, is of good quality, the dog will be fine. Your dog will be healthy. This is why at the Pet Quarter, we only find foods and we only sell foods that are incredible. Not just good, but incredible. And if you click on the link in the description, you will be able to see a wide array of wonderful foods that we only sell out of principle. We don't sell anything rubbish because we don't believe that your dog will be served with something that's not of good quality. So if you are unsure, you can drop a comment below if you have any questions, and you can shop at thepetquarter.co.uk. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.